This show is intended for all audiences, but some content may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener caution is advised.
Hello and welcome to The Quest, the show where we talk about role-playing in all of its forms, from tabletop to LARP and even cosplay. This is where we offer tips and tricks to role-players, new and old, hero or GM, and where we share our passion for role-playing and collaborative storytelling with you. You can find more on Facebook and Twitter at IronNerdivore, or you can email the show at thequest@ironnerdivore.com or podcasts at ironnerdivore.com. I'm your host, Jeff Harvey, and with me today is the eccentric Evelyn Corbin, the lascivious Laura Marsh, and the erroneous Eric Okanowski. Oh, thanks for joining us. Today's episode is going to be about live-action role-playing, but we brought Eric onto the show because we wanted to follow up on some stuff from a previous episode, talking about the potential psychology of role-playing and how it affects, development and whatnot. So we're going to get into that in a minute, but first we have the news, if I can figure out which one of these it is. Yeah, see, I'm up at the stuff. That's not the worst thing you could possibly do. Trust me.
Yeah.
So I'm the only one that has news today because I'm the only one that didn't totally, neglect the podcast this week.
I'm sorry, my real job got in the way of the podcast.
Yeah, I fucked off all week too. So, Goal, a popular soccer RPG, finally hits North America. This is a Japanese Wii-based RPG about soccer. I'm excited because it reminds me of a game that I wish Brandon was here to talk about, which was Tecmo Cup Soccer from back in the day on the Nintendo. What a fun game that was.
You've talked about that game before.
What a waste of human talent that was. And by that I mean I spent too much of my own talent on that game.
I'm still convinced that RPG soccer is just called soccer.
Well, no, but it's an RPG about soccer. You're playing soccer. You're role-playing
so
soccer.
instead of going out and playing some damn soccer...
How do you role play soccer?
There's no
Dice.
space in Japan to actually play anymore. So, entirely too many people. The first installment of this game came out in 2008 in Japan, 2011 in Europe, and there's been about 5 different iterations. Oh no, over a dozen releases between Japan and Europe over the years, and now North America is finally getting it for the Nintendo DS and the 3DS. And I thought I read somewhere that it was coming out for the Wii too, but apparently I must have been mistaken because I didn't read this article fully.
So how is this any different from like FIFA?
So you weren't very prepared either.
No, I wasn't. I totally found all these news articles today. It's not like FIFA because you're playing the game. It's more like the be a hero or be a star in like the hockey
So
game and
be a soccer player or be a soccer mom?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, instead of just playing the game as the team as a whole, you're probably playing as an individual person. I honestly have no idea. I've never played this game before. I just thought it was interesting that there's a soccer RPG that's coming to the United States.
So amazingly
Weird.
dumb.
I really like okay, I play the NHL 2000 and whichever version is currently out or the one that was up before that. And in that, there's a be a star mode and there's a live the life type thing where you actually play a character, you answer questions to the media, you make decisions about what team you want to play for, and you only play that one character. I find it a lot of fun because I'm a role player and a sports fan, and they kind of combine the two into the nerdiest possible pastime, and it unfortunately devours my life sometimes. I really want the new version of the NHL game because apparently the new live the life thing is way better. So I just don't have the pennies. I'm out of pennies. So, ex-Ubisoft EA developer reveals an ambitious new RPG called Reroll. This is apparently an online RPG that is all 3D graphics, all that kind of stuff, that's supposed to be set on an accurate reproduction of the planet Earth. I don't know anything else about it because the article that I found doesn't talk a whole lot about it, but I will put up a link in the show notes. It sounds like it could be interesting. It's a post-apocalyptic thing, but it's set in basically the actual world, like I'm assuming they're using Google Maps to map out an actual
That's kind of cool.
real
That's
world.
interesting.
I suspect this game will never actually be released because that sounds
Sounds
way
like
too ambitious.
A lot of work.
Yeah. So, an app turns acquisitions mergers into role-playing game. Basically, there's a new app for the iPhone that has turned mergers and acquisitions into a role-playing game, and I really have no idea.
Stock Market: The Gathering.
Wall Street is coming. Yeah, I am totally going to play this, but the new M&A game is a role-playing game that pits players against other bidders and sellers. Each player creates an avatar and then tries to amass a fortune by buying and selling merging companies. So
Why? Why is this a thing?
it's a thing that's available free on iPad and
Because
iPhone.
nobody is dumb enough to pay for it.
Actually, I'd probably buy this.
That's a great education tool.
I actually would be. It would be a good way to learn how to run the market.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. There's another one that I played for a little while that was a stock market thing, and you basically you were given like $10,000 to buy the game and you buy these stocks and trade and everything else. And I played that for a little while just to see how I did, and
This is why Jeff doesn't get anything accomplished, folks.
it only took like 30 seconds a day. I never played Flappy Bird. I didn't get into Angry Bird, although I do own Angry Bird Star Wars.
Did you
I've
see
never
they came out with
finished
the two?
And- yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not paying more for it. I was disappointed with the first one.
No, I have the free one.
Yeah, I'm still not paying for it. It's too much. It's too much.
Free is too much.
Free is too much for
much
Angry Birds.
bandwidth.
I'm not an Angry Birds fan. I
I
don't know.
love
It's
Angry
it's
Birds.
all right. Like I do enjoy it to kill a little bit of time here and there, but
It's fun.
I don't like mindless games. I like to be able to think about, or sports games. So, yeah, that is all the news that anybody bothered reading, and by anybody I mean me. So, on that note, we will slowly find our way into the simple music to frighten small children. Do, 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 do. We got to lighten this show up a little bit. So I will do.
Because we're not frivolous enough.
No, I've only wasted, I don't know, 26 minutes, and I think 15 of that is outtakes. So anyway, today we wanted to talk a little bit about the psychology of role playing and how it's affected, and how it can affect development and things like that. So we brought on our resident, quote unquote, expert. Although he is, I would actually give him the expert title because I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, and he actually went to school for this stuff, not necessarily in
directly.
role playing, but
But close enough.
close enough.
Can you go
Can
to
you go to
school
school
for
for that
role-playing?
week?
I
I
would.
found a
Degree?
new major.
Yes.
I graduated from the University of Michigan with a doctorate in role-playing games.
I want to do it.
You have to call me doctor, please. I am.
And then the next time somebody challenges you on RPGs, you be like, "Bitch, I am an expert."
That's right.
Where's your doctor?
I'm Dr. D&D.
My name is Dr. RPG. Dr. RPG.
Why
It's like Dr. Teeth. Because it's like Dr. Teeth. It's the
Dr. RPG. Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, gonna spin a new tune, Dr. RPG. Oh yeah.
I rolled the 20.
Roll that music on. Yeah. I don't know. That's my evening DJ, my shock jock DJ, my shock jock DJ. I don't know, penis.
That's one.
There's one.
There's one penis. What?
You wasted one.
I know. I'm leaving Eric only one since he had to say like 30 of them before the show started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are actually. I'm gonna have to have somebody look up what the rules actually are. How many times we're actually allowed to say things.
PG-15, I'm telling you.
PG-15 shouldn't be a thing.
Are we actually rated though? I mean,
We're rated in iTunes.
Are we?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
an iTunes rating only, and it doesn't have to be followed because I don't use the clean tags or the explicit tags,
Gotcha.
so that people understand that we might be explicit, but I want to keep it as family friendly as possible because I know a lot of people
Right,
listen to
right.
the show in their car, and sometimes their kids are there, and I doubt
don't
anybody.
want-
I doubt anybody who listens to this podcast has kids, but
Little Jimmy asking, "Mommy, what's up here?"
what penis man? Oh, we said it 4 times. Oh, boobies. PG-14. All right, so we probably should actually talk about not
Role playing?
masturbation and
don't think anybody said anything about masturbation until now.
We did. It's all before the show. Anyways, so give us some insight, Eric, about the
Psychologize us.
psychologize on us with what you think. We were talking about development and how it affects, and I mentioned that for me, I thought that Jonas, the character I play in the LARP, had a profound effect on the way I progressed as a person from the age of, I think I started at 18 to about 24. So, and then you told me that was crap. So bring it on.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for that great introduction. Greatly.
You can talk about who you are and why you actually get to be on the show as an expert.
Hi, everybody. Technically, I am called a psychologist.
I'm gonna touch his microphone because he wasn't using it right.
I want to talk on the side because you're like watching.
Not all the way to the side. You got to get somewhere near the head of the microphone. Don't do that either.
So I do have my degree in psychology, clinical behavioral psychology to be exact, from Eastern Michigan University in Ypsilanti.
Go Eagles.
Yay. I currently work in
Professionally.
government.
Yes, professionally. We will not
doing
say where.
psychology. And
Doing
I help-
science.
Yes, I would like to science, please.
Love that. I love that.
And it was interesting when I first heard about the idea that role playing can influence you yourself in terms of LARPing. At first, I was like, of course, that seems to have some effect.
Right.
Because as a therapy tool, we use role playing all the time.
Right.
Let's be honest, it's one of the most useful tools, especially for like anxiety, stuff like that. Imagine you're here, play it out. There you go. We're gonna, fix
Right.
things. But it's kind of weird because Jonas or my character, basically because of being inputted in a situation, we switch ourselves and change ourselves into a different persona. I think subconsciously you wanted to be that different person.
Sure.
And what you did is put yourself in potentially situations that could influence you to do so.
Right. Well, I think that's the key to role playing in general. I think we always want to be something beyond who we actually are. And so the idea of role playing in these stressful, heroic type situations, as Brandon would put it, help us to find that person we wish we could be. We want to be that hero. We want to be something other than the mundane individual that we might be. And I think that absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that's the direction I kind of see with role playing is we subconsciously or consciously put ourselves in situations that kind of say, I'm going to be more outgoing.
Right.
I'm going to be more, heroic.
Right. In air quotes.
Yeah, I use quotes. And by doing so, we get the feedback from the outside, world. I'll use world in quotes too.
Right.
And we find out, wow, this works.
Right.
And then, from there, you kind of make that small or large step into the real world. And then that kind of is pretty nice because you've already experienced the positive effects of being that more outgoing person, doing that one thing that scares you. And then so you're willing to do it in the real world and you get more feedback and then it kind of encompasses who you are.
Right. One feeds the other, maybe.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense to me. And like I said, I think that role playing in general is good for, especially the nerd community as a whole. Tabletop role playing games, I think, are great because it gives you that confined feeling where you're in a safe environment, maybe almost like therapy. I mean, I haven't done a whole lot of therapy in my life. I've done some, but mostly because I was required to by my company's policies. But it's a long story. When you work in the medical field, you have to do things occasionally because you see stuff that people don't want to see.
Right.
Natural.
And they think that I don't want to see them, and whatever. I show up late to work a couple times because I live an hour and 20 minutes away, and I got to go see a psychiatrist, which is not the same thing as a psychologist, right?
Right.
Right.
One gives medicine.
Right.
One doesn't.
One prescribes medication, one helps.
One is actually useful.
Zing! I shouldn't say that because I actually do find the couple times I've been to a psychiatrist, I actually have benefited somewhat. But I imagine I get the same thing just talking to anybody. I also get the same thing, I think, through therapeutic measures in role-playing games, although I'm a GM almost always. So I have to actually control the story, which is good for me because I am a bit of an OCD person and I have a lot of control issues. And I think that being able to run the game helps me with that. Plus, it helps me be able to write because I love to write. And role-playing games help me get over the OCD of not being able to write. One of the things that a lot of people with OCD have a problem with is the ability to start a new task, because the task seems so overwhelming to complete it, because you have to get everything right and it has to be right the first time and whatnot. So it makes it really difficult for me to start writing my stories and stuff like that. But in role-playing games, it's a lot less because it's a lot less writing and a lot more collaboration, which allows me to step away from the OCD a little bit and to step into the power and control which feeds that need, yet still get the stories out that I want to get out. So I find it very therapeutic in that method. But it also, I think, helps my players define who they are. Like this last couple gaming sessions we had, the emotion was so strong that the players themselves were actually shaking. Like Laura, you were talking about that you were actually having a hard time.
I almost
with
made
it.
myself cry.
Right. And the session before that, you were actually mad for several days.
I'm having trouble separating my own emotions from Ava's emotions. It's kind of crazy.
And Laura's also sick this time, so she's not teared up right now. It's just she's teared up just thinking about the fact that she was teared up thinking about something.
Yeah. No, I'm a little stuffy, so I might sound a little funny.
So the notion, and this is something we can throw back to Eric, is what kind of effect do you think that really has on somebody? The constant role playing of extremely rough situations. I mean, in role playing games, we talk about it being development. We put ourselves in positions that are constantly overcoming immense struggles, but we don't always succeed in role playing games. Sometimes the roll of the dice kind of fails us. So what kind of effect do you think that might have on somebody's ability to cope with things?
That's actually really kind of beneficial, if you ask me. And it's weird because I read this big long article about a case study about a guy who used role playing and D&D specifically to kind of act out situations, and even if he failed, you learned something from it. And to me, it's all about learning.
Right.
Failure, doing well, doing bad,
Gaining real life experience points.
Yes, you did. And one of the things that we have to learn is to progress ourselves is the idea that we fail.
Right.
And some will say developmentally nowadays we're not getting that idea that we need to fail, that we need to fall down just a little bit.
Right.
So I think role-playing games give us that opportunity that we haven't, you didn't get the right role. So what happens?
Right. Living through adversity.
Mhm.
I think it's nice. Yeah, so we bring some actual freaking science to our show today, and some validation for the
Yay!
things that I've been saying for the last season and 2 episodes. We're still not even through one full season, really. But it's something we could talk about more too in the future. Like I think that the notion of the development and like you were talking about the falling down and still learning something. I think that is a great way to explain why experience points are the way they are, and it shouldn't just be getting experience points for hacking at monsters.
Right.
Like in the modern D&D games, I know, especially in Pathfinder, we talk about being able to earn experience points for overcoming an obstacle or a creature or a trap or something, rather than just defeating it. You don't have to kill the goblin. You just have to get past the goblin in the scenario. You can leave him locked in a room. You can negotiate your way out of it, however you want to do it. And you can still get the experience points because you learned how to do something through it. And that's the reason I hate level caps and experience point caps in general. And we talk about that in LARPing sometimes, which is actually our topic today is LARPing. So that was a almost segue that I didn't have to force really at all.
We're getting better at those.
No, I'm terrible at it.
All right, I'm getting better at those.
That's why we have that really long music so we can get a chance to talk about it. All right, so our first topic in live action role playing today. Now, we did cover this all in episode 0 back in the day with Dave and Donna, which some of you may have actually heard that episode, and most of you probably haven't, and you probably should because it's a fantastic episode, and you can hear it on ironerdivore.com/thequest somewhere. I don't know what it is.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug to our own site that you're already found because you're listening to the podcast. So go back and listen to episode 0 of the Quest. You can find it at if you find us on iTunes, it'll be in the Quest. If you find us you can also find us on the Iron Edivore Network, and it'll be in there as well. So the first thing we want to talk about is what brings people to LARPing. What brought Evelyn to LARPing?
A group of really geeky people standing in the parking lot of Roy saying, "Hey, this thing is awesome," and then building it for 2 years because my mom is convinced that role playing in general is evil and of the devil.
Right.
So
Of the devil.
of the devil.
We actually talked about that a little bit before the show started too.
Did you? I wasn't here for that.
No.
So when I finally turned 18, actually on the day of my grad party, I left. Most of the people were gone. It was pretty much over.
Just ditched your own party.
and I told my mom, like,
To
all
go
right,
LARP?
I'm going. I'm going to
Nice.
Kanar. I'm going to go play. And I was doing a little bit of tabletop. I'd started playing Jamie's D&D game very shortly beforehand. Again, I probably would have tabletopped much sooner, but of the devil.
Right. It's a cult thing.
Yeah. Can't just. I tried to reason with my mother and explain to her that I was pagan already.
Right.
So it's not like Morrison
So you
was
were
going to
already
send
going
me
to hell.
to more hell. I was already going.
There are levels of hell.
There
Haven't
are
you read
levels of
Dante?
hell. It's true.
It's true.
My mom doesn't believe in levels of hell. She just believes in hell.
Yeah.
She actually believes in Jewish hell, where you're separated from God.
Yeah, Jewish hell that doesn't really exist.
I don't know.
Also, Jewish hell is cool because you can get your way out of it.
Yeah.
You can work your way out of Jewish hell.
Interesting.
It's cool. Jewish hell is awesome. I mean, by comparison to Christian hell. I'm not saying it's like I want to go and hang out.
There are lollipops and cotton candy and unicorns in Jewish hell.
Yeah. I want to say some things, but I think it would be construed as racist, and I am not
Probably.
at all against
You
the
probably
Jewish religion. In
shouldn't
fact,
say
I find the Jewish religion fascinating. I really want to learn more about it. But
You
they're
can say
very
it if we have Ari on the podcast.
I ask Ari and Fred both a lot of questions about the Jewish religion because I find it fascinating. I find all religion fascinating. I find belief fascinating. They're I found the Jewish people are fairly closed about talking to people who are apparently Christian. I look Christian. I'm not going to say I'm not. I do. I'm white.
Well,
and I'm
it's
middle.
the large cross that you wear around your neck,
Right.
and the fact that you keep walking around hitting people with Bibles.
Yes. Dum, dum, dum. Do you have a minute to talk about our Lord and Savior, Voltron? I am trying to get a nice room in hell. That way I can get back on topic.
We are, for those of you who can't see us, we have just been redirected by the new kid.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I was trying to figure out how to work it back, but I couldn't.
You couldn't.
I
No.
couldn't.
You were
No.
too far gone.
I could have worked it back. How was I going to work it? Oh, I was going to work it back by bringing up something about what actual motivation do you have to role play, like what to go into live action. I mean, not just who brought you out and why did you go out from the billing, but what draws you to the notion of enjoying role playing and of enjoying
Yeah.
LARPing.
I really liked LARPing because of the full immersion, because of meeting new people. I've made a lot of really fantastic friends that have stayed, even though I haven't hit the field in 3.5 years.
Or more.
That's
No,
about
it's
3.5.
that. Yeah.
I have friends that I still talk to on a regular basis that I met at the game, and these are people that I would not have met if it hadn't been for Kanar.
Right.
And you don't get that same experience tabletopping. It's not like you go to a place full of strangers to go tabletop.
Although you can.
You can.
Because
That's
there are the Pathfinder
almost-
societies.
That's true. But of the Tashi's game, I only knew like maybe 3 people in the room.
Right, but that game is on a category of its own.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And that's something I want to talk about in the new GM episode, and I would like to get her on that show, except I'm not really sure she can stay calm enough for the microphones to pick her up. Not RPG.
Dr. D&D.
Not D&D. All right, so Eric, you are the only other, other than myself, actual LARPer in the room who has regularly LARPed. So what, same question to you, what drew you to LARPing, not just who, but why do you LARP?
That is a good question. Thank you very much. Actually,
You're
funny enough,
welcome.
going back to psychology, the reason I joined the LARP that I'm in is because my classmate, she was like, hey, you need to do this.
Come study these strange people.
Yeah, weird. He was like, you're going to have a lot of fun. It'll be enjoyable. I was like, oh, yeah, you know. And it never worked. And then one day we sat down, made my character, did all the fun stuff, and then I came on the field. But before that, I really liked role-playing. I did the forum role-playing way back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then I, for a long time on Facebook, I actually was part of a wrestling role-playing
An
group.
EFED.
Yeah.
I ran an EFED for a while.
Really? I did too.
Yeah.
I still do it right now.
Aw.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
You want to write for one? Because I'll bring mine back up.
You want to write for one? We have
No,
one.
I don't. I don't have time to write for one.
Okay.
What's your Fed though?
It's called the Facebook Wrestling Federation.
Nice, cheap plug.
On Facebook.
Right. I was the chair of the VCW Federation, Virtual Championship Wrestling. We started in 2007 because I wanted to learn how to build websites. So there you go. All right. Well, I guess I will give a quick background on why I started doing it, so then we can get to Laura and why she wants to do it, since she's a newbie, sort of.
Sort of.
A pre-newbie.
Yeah, I got into role playing. I think largely because I have an extremely active imagination that really overdoes it a lot. I like to write stories. I like to tell stories. I like to read stories. I like to do everything with stories. So role playing was a good introduction for us, which I didn't know about role playing until a friend of mine actually had the cancer in the leg, and so he couldn't swim for a season. So it wasn't really cancer; it was a tumor,
Oh.
some kind of tumor.
He's not a Duma.
It was a tumor. But we couldn't go swimming. We couldn't do all the outdoor activities that we used to do during the summer, and so we started doing D&D instead. We spent the summer doing D&D, and then we became total nerds and lost ourselves in Dungeons and Dragons, and other games, Star Wars, D6, and so on and so forth. Until finally in 1998ish, we learned about the LARP in Milan, even though we lived in Milan, and the game had been going on here for like 4 years before that.
And
we didn't-
apparently, one of the major churches held protests on it.
Oh, see, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
I didn't. That's the first
Apparently,
I've heard of it.
the church my mom goes to, I guess the pastor did a major sermon on. Is that the high school?
Yeah, high school's on fire.
Sweet.
Sweet. No school tomorrow.
Anyway, you were going back to.
Yeah, the church my mom goes to now, which unfortunately neither of us went at the time this actually happened. I guess the pastor or one of the church members had witnessed somebody bringing a crossbeam onto the field for one of the structures, mistook
carrying
it
a
for an
cross?
actual cross, and decided that they did horrible satanic rituals out on the field. So the pastor gave this huge sermon about this terrible, terrible group out past the drag strip in Milan who performed satanic rituals and this, that, and the other, and they killed animals. And
Oh my God, that's adorable.
Yeah, it was a thing.
Yeah, informed decisions are not really something that most religious things happen. That's why I'm not really a fan of religion.
Lies and deceit.
It's not true of all
Totally
religion,
dis-
but see, it does play in. I look over at
We
Eric
brought
and
it back
because-
around.
Brought it back around. I can make anything tie in. But no, I got into that. We met some people. I didn't say I shouldn't do it, but I didn't meet them. But one of my friends, the one who got me into role playing to begin with, met some people at the Big Boy in Milan just by happenstance. He happened to be there. They weren't dressed up or anything. He just overheard them talking about it. Found out what it was. Went out to an event. The next event, we all went out, and I've wasted 16 years of my life. Laura. That I'm gonna have to see if I can edit that out because that was terrible.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah. So what draws Laura to the notion of wanting to join a LARP? I mean, you've been out to the game a couple times over the years.
Yeah.
And every time you've been, I hate this game.
Pretty much.
The term I believe we've used several times is fucking For those of you who are on our PG-13 rating, that is one F-bomb. Actually, I think that was our third F-bomb, but all right, go ahead. So why?
I honestly have no idea. I've been trying to figure it out. I'm not sure what made me want to come back out. Eric is motioning to himself, but it's not really. Okay. I've written my character to be connected to Eric's character and another person, but I was thinking about coming out before I decided to do that. So,
Right.
but I tried it a few times about, I want to say 8 years ago is what I
Yeah.
figured out.
I
It
think
was
you came out-
2007,
I think you came out
so
once
7
after
years
that,
ago.
too. Yeah, so
And I just couldn't do it. And I'm realizing that I have a a completely unreasonable fear of Kanar.
Sure.
Bring this around.
We had sort of a I had sort of a talk online with Eric. Gave me sort of a little psychological
Evaluation.
evaluation.
How much does that
online.
cost?
The check's in the mail. I haven't gotten it yet. But yeah, for some reason, I'm terrified. But I want to try it again.
Yeah. Kanar can be overwhelming. It can be a big deal.
There's
It's-
something about going out and not having that safety net. I love tabletop, but I think the idea of being in a situation where I have to go out and be someone else and I can't, there's no safety word, I can't just suddenly stop being this person and
Yeah.
go back to being myself.
There is a safety word, but
But it's sort of a faux pas to use it for no reason.
yeah, Kanar can be very overwhelming because it's a lot of people who seem really immersed in what they're doing, although I'd say probably 3/4 of them aren't.
Yep.
And it's back when I started anyway, and I think Evelyn, you started not too long after we did.
Yeah, about 2 years.
Yeah, the game was vastly different than it is now.
Yep.
Eric,
I don't play anymore.
Yeah, Eric, I don't. Well, I wouldn't say it's any better or worse. It's just different. When we started, the game was extremely violent, like far more violent than it is now. The hitting was harder. The combat was rougher. There was a lot more. Actually, there's a lot less forgiveness for weakness back then. If you were weak in any way, you were trampled, and I mean that figuratively and literally. You were trampled either through role playing, or you were trampled physically in combat, and it was a big deal. I used to leave Kanar events when I was in my prime, my physical prime, which I am certainly not in anymore. I'm in my physical round now. I would leave the field every event with a lot of bruises, not like little bruises either, like week-long bruises or longer.
You still come home pretty bruised.
It's because I'm old. I don't actually have bruises anymore. Now it's just aches because I walked too much, or I sat too long, or I talked too much.
You
Or
showed me a few bruises.
I've had a couple from
Recently.
some recent, some of more recent events, but they're all from people who used to play back then.
Ah.
It's usually from people like Travis and Jamie and people
Yeah.
that I fight really hard, and I think anyways, because I came up in that that era of the game, that if you don't play like that you're playing the game wrong, and that's not fair. And I know it's not fair. It's just the mentality I get when I'm out on the field, and I do hurt people occasionally. I don't do it intentionally. It's usually just short people. Tess.
Short people.
Unfortunately, I hit Tess in the face probably every event that I fight her. And I don't mean to do it ever, but she's like 1.5 feet tall. I can't help it. She is exactly the right height of my sword swing. Because I'm 6'1". I'm extremely aggressive. I want to say she's got to be 5'2", 5'3" at the most, and very aggressive. She's very aggressive. She's one of the great. I wouldn't say she's a great fighter, but she's one of the great aggressive people from that era.
She is a lot of fun. She's like a little Cuisinart.
I know, it's fantastic.
My little dull blade, but I think some of that aggression comes into play too because you're so immersed. I know I tend to hit harder than a lot of the newer players, and I gauge my fighting for who I'm playing, and I do the horrible sexist thing. I'm sorry, feminists. If I'm fighting a woman, I hit lighter, even though I am a woman.
I do too, but mostly it's because
Mostly because they bitch.
my issue is I usually reciprocate violence. Like if you are really aggressive towards me, like Shane. Shane is
Oh yeah, if
extremely
you
good
wail on
fighter.
me, I'll wail on you.
Yes. Whereas most of the ladies, I'm not as immersed in my character anymore as I used to be because I think the game just sucks now. At least in the last 3 years, it's been really just not fun for me. But it's because I was behind the scenes too long. I have learned that once you've seen behind the curtain, it's not as much fun. The magic is lost. So I think I've been dealing with that for a while, and I do gauge. Because of that, I'm able to better gauge my combat when I'm fighting somebody
Right.
who's new. I can fight them differently. But I'm also still pretty aggressive when I'm into it. When I'm really into it. So
Yeah, I've had moments. One of my favorite moments, and one of my oh crap, I screwed up moments, was we did what we would refer to as the hardcore module. We started. It was in frickin' November. It was cold as shit, and it was a special module for just a handful of people who were doing a special quest. And we had a number of people that had come out for the weekend to to NPC for us, and one of them was a player that absolutely had a blast playing with, and they were playing a plant monster thing, and I got so caught up in being Delvenja that at one point I was being herded kind of backward away from everybody and into the woods, and I tripped over a stump and I fell on my back, and my instinct was to bring my feet up and plant them in the person's chest and kick them.
Yeah.
Which is precisely what I did. And then went, oh shit, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And they just got up. That was awesome. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that to Robin Tromley a couple times when we were fighting back in the day. So we talk about the game being big and intimidating. What would you say to try to get somebody over the notion that the game is so big and intimidating?
Honestly, it's really. I mean, once you get into it, you realize it's not as big as it is.
Sure.
I mean, this is a big thing with most fears, is we create this whole world around us and we make it so much bigger. We make it so much grander. You know, once you get into it and you experience it, you understand, like, oh.
Right. Why was I afraid of this stupid crap?
And you know, I think we kind of just had that discussion, me and Laura,
Yeah.
about, like, you know, you just need to go out and do it, because not doing it is actually escape behavior.
Sure.
And, you know, then you never really experience your fear, and then you're always fearful of it, and
Right.
then keeps going. Yada,
Well, and I
yada.
do think that this character is going to be better, because I think that the way I wrote, or the way I had the character that I was playing was a mistake. Like, she was too shy and quiet, and I had done that as a safety mechanism, I think, so
Right.
that I didn't have to, like, talk to people.
Right.
Which was a mistake. I ended up feeling like I was in high school because I was super shy in high school, and it ended up feeling too much like high school.
Right.
And I think that was part of the problem.
Well, Canara is not like high school, but
That's true. Yeah, I felt like it was like it felt very clicky to me.
it is.
But
And in fact, I think that's one of the things that really can determine the way you start the game too. When Brandon and I started the game, me, Brandon, Jamie, and a few others, we started the game and we were not able to get any of the clicks. So we basically just did our own thing.
Started your own clique?
Not really. We didn't really start a clique. We eventually all went our separate ways. We found our own cliques, but we just kind of did and made people conform to us, which I think has had a huge impact on the game in general, because now the game a lot of times does conform to me, as being the only one who really still plays from the original group. But when you come out to Canara now, there are a number of groups, and it's much, much easier to get into the game now, way easier than it ever was before. But there are certain groups that are playing the game on hard, and this is how I put it anyway. There are groups that play on easy. You've got Silvermane, they kind of play on easy. It's easy to join them. It's easy to get involved with them and role play with them and talk to them, and they're happy to throw things at you and help you out. Then there's playing on, I'm going to say, medium light, which would be like Bane and Mar. They're all extremely helpful and friendly and energetic and do everything they can to help you. And there's playing the game on hard, and that's Colada. And it's not that we don't help, because we're enthusiastic to have you there. We want people to come into the house. We want people to get explored. The problem is that we are the center of politics. And when you're playing the game on hard, when you come into the game, almost every new player, the best way for them to get involved in the game and to get started is through combat. They get to be known, they get some levels under their belts, they get to see how the game is played, and they can work their way into the harder things. Whereas Colada, if you walk into the door, you're in the hardest things. It is the high-end politics. It is the Assassin's Guilds. It's the nobility. It's all of those things in one place, because that's what we are. I mean, we're almost all high-level characters, or at least moderately high-level characters. We've been playing the game for, I'd say the House Lords have been playing the game for at least, I think the shortest anyone's been playing is 14 or 15 years. So you're talking about getting involved in a really heavy area. And I know that when you first came out, you wanted to be around Colada a little bit more, because that's where everybody you knew was.
right.
But that's so hard to do.
Yeah.
The new Brimblade guy, the real person's name is Doug. And for the life of me, even though he's my in-game brother, I can't remember his out-of-game. Adelphius.
It's because you have like 20 brothers.
I have 20 brains, yes. No, it's
Yeah.
it's not that. He
I don't
chose a
know what it
name
came
that
from.
really was hard for me to remember. We named him after one of the cards from the Dragon Poker deck.
Ah.
But Adelphius is new to the game. He's relatively new to role-playing. He started in Colada. He started as part of one of the families that is one of the hardest families to be a part of, because we're extremely prevalent in the game. He jumped into it and he was having a really hard time at first, but he's really picking it up, and that's because Doug's personality really fits in nicely with what we are, and he's learning his place in the family, in the house, in the game as a whole. But it's taken him, I'd say, almost a year to get to this point, which is a lot longer than it takes a lot of other people to get there because he's playing the game. I think he's playing the game on hard. I think you'll have much better time with it because you've got people who in the game who, one, I think, are probably better. It's a better group for new players, and two, they're a lot more mobile and social than Colada was.
Yeah.
Well,
and
everyone comes to us in Colada.
One of the things that I think one of the reasons that I'm nervous is I think I have a fear of not understanding the world.
Yeah, that's all right. Nobody knows. It changes every 3 years. So,
Have
Or
you been
doing
watching
something
Travis's
stupid.
posts?
yes.
But I sort of, that was why I kind of wanted to play a character this time that was kind of dumb.
Sure.
Very outgoing and
Like
kind
your
of
strengths.
naive. Yeah, yeah.
Not that you're stupid. Her strong character
Somebody's
right now.
sleeping on the couch tonight.
I would say that you're strong suit characters, and I think you're in a trend of characters right now that are actually playing that's non-complex
Yeah,
and seeking to actively avoid complexity.
yeah.
That's a sad and very, very common thing, though. I mean, unless we're talking about a different aspect of complexity in character building.
Complex as in the complex parts of the story, like the politics and the long, the big picture stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I don't have a good political mind, so
No.
that is not something that I'm interested in
Yeah.
doing. I also like the fact that my character is going to be attached to Eric and Chris. I like because I have a couple people that I can now just like follow around like a puppy.
Right.
Well, and I gotta admit, I kind of like her being attached to my character because it gives me another thing to do,
Right.
and it lets me teach her all the things around
You're about
the world.
You're about mid level now, right? You've been playing for about 5 years. Is that where you're at?
Almost, yeah.
About, yeah. So you're probably about mid level. That's about the time you start finding that you are good enough that you don't want to go on modules anymore because you change the tide of things, so it's less fun, and you're trying to struggle. You struggle for ways to find what to do next.
Mhm.
I'm actually at the point now where there is literally nothing else for me to do. So look forward to that.
I'm gonna fix that.
Yeah, you should fix that. I need story. I want to play Vol this year, so that'll give me something to do because he's
I can't wait.
low level. Vol's fun because I get to act like a low level character and like I'm new, and it's fun. People enjoy the character and they want to interact with him. They're not afraid of him. So let's talk next about garb. I know that since you're new to LARPing, you've got to figure out how your costuming is going to work and everything else.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing
Right.
recently is trying to figure out if I can borrow stuff from people and trying to figure out where I can get stuff for cheap because at the moment I have no money.
Right.
Plus, since the first time I did this, I only went maybe two or three
Gaming sessions.
Yeah.
gaming sessions. I was like,
Events.
sessions isn't right.
Events.
Events. Yeah. 2 or 3 events, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of money right away.
Right. There's a lot of ways you can do it cheap. I just I know some people say just wear dark sweats and dark shoes and blah blah blah. That is my response as well. Evelyn is correct. I think that if you're going to do it, at least get
Put some sort of effort.
any
That's the thing.
effort
I
or
do.
borrow
I do
something.
want to do it right.
And it's not hard to go to a Goodwill and find something that looks okay, especially
Yeah,
it's
thrift
way
stores
easier for
are a
women.
great place to find garb. Yeah, and Jeff's right. It's so much easier for women because all you really need to do is pick up a flowy top and a long skirt, and you're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Half of every costume, in my opinion, half of building every costume is the boots.
Yeah.
So
See, that's my biggest issue right now is because I have arthritis and I don't want to wear something that's uncomfortable,
Right.
that's not very supportive. I want to be able to navigate out there. I can't see in the dark,
right.
unlike most of
Yeah.
you people.
can't see in the
I
light
want
anymore.
to be able to, I don't want to have to worry about, I already am going to have a hard time walking without being able to see very well.
Right.
And so I don't want to be worrying about my shoes. I don't want to be wearing something that I'm uncomfortable in.
Right. But there's ways to get around it too. I mean, there are custom fit boots. I mean, you're talking a lot of money.
Right,
here,
but I need right,
Don't
and that's
you
the thing. I don't
have-
have the money for that.
I thought you had a pair that would suffice. I thought you had like a pair of like brown.
I
just
was
She used to wear-
wearing,
working
yeah, I
boots,
was
kinda.
wearing like a pair of Skechers, but I think the ones that I had fell apart. So I think but I think that's what I'm going to end up doing is just buying some, essentially tennis shoes, but that are in like a boot sort of style.
Right. Just do, for me, I would think in that, because you're going for a pants look and not a skirts look, right?
Yeah.
So you want to do something that hides the fact that they're shoes.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And what the tops of the shoes look like don't matter. It's what they look like at the ankle and in the calf area. So if you can find some way to like wrap them in leather or something like that.
And
I
say
think
that's
it's a good
that's
idea.
the easy fix is just get some leather and wrap them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, I think footwear is 50% of every costume, because if you don't feel comfortable in the shoes that you're wearing, you're going to be out there for a long time. You got to feel,
Right.
and I think that footwear really makes a big difference in the way you are able to play your character. Like I think Jonas has changed slightly based on the shoes I've worn over the years. I've got some good boots now. They're thigh highs and everything else, and they make me feel like a badass swashbuckler because
Yeah.
I'm a badass swashbuckler. Or at least as long as I'm wearing the boots I am. But before that, I used to wear Minnetonka moccasins. They're nice, cheap moccasins for people who are looking for cheap wilderness type shoes. But
See, and I think I had a pair of those, but
You
they
wouldn't be
were
able to wear 'em.
not. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They were
They're-
not supportive enough.
yeah, there's no support in them at all.
Yeah.
It's a piece of rubberish, almost not leather,
right.
and some hide, and it's all it is. They're hippie boots.
Yeah.
And they're really, really, really uncomfortable to wear for long periods of time, especially in land like ours. They actually work nicely in parks. If you're doing a park LARP, they're really nice. But if you're doing a wilderness LARP like we are, it's not. Plus, there's so much water out there; they just soaks right into your shoes. It's not.
That's what cracks me up about. I don't know if you guys have seen various of our mutual friends who keep posting these, like this page and you'll win this pair of fairy boots, and it's basically looks like some thin ass doe hide
Yeah.
slapped onto us. I'm like, why? Why?
No.
You people work fair and you play Canar. Where the crap are you gonna wear these shoes?
Right? Yeah, you can't wear them to fair. Oh my
No,
god!
God, no.
Minnetonka moccasins are not okay for fair, especially if you're working. Ooh. But there's good shoe companies out there. I will plug a couple that I'm not getting paid to plug, but I will plug them anyway. Son of Sandler's makes pretty good ones. They wouldn't work for people with foot problems, but they're comfortable if you don't have any major foot problems. Or they're not comfortable. They're good enough if you're not having major foot problems. And if you get them sized a little bit big for you, you can put some good insoles in them. Otherwise, you look for like Bald Mountain, which I'm not sure where they're at anymore.
Yeah, I don't know because I haven't been to fair in a couple
I'm not sure they're
years.
still around, but I think you can find them online. We'll have to see if we can find them online for you. But they do an actual a form molding of your foot, and then custom build the mold to fit your foot shape. So if you have foot problems, they're really, really good. I knew a couple guys who used to get those because they were having falling arches problems and things like that. So they were really good. But moving up the body, because who doesn't like to do that? We get into pants and skirts and whatnot. And obviously it's easier for women to find skirts. You can go to a Goodwill or just take a piece of cloth and wrap it around you and you're fine. Because that's all you need to do at LARPs. Just make it look passable. For guys, though, it's a little bit tougher. And there's a couple different styles you can wear. You can wear breeches, you can wear wrap pants, you can wear a skirt if you really wanted to. Where do you get your pants from, Eric?
I got my pants, the ones I currently wear, my wrap pants, were
Yeah.
made by Angela Steffi, who makes very great garb.
Right? Plug.
Yeah, very, very true. She made one of my favorite skirts.
Yeah, I got to call her and have her see if she can make my new wrap pants. Because I wear wrap pants. And I know a lot of people who don't like wrap pants, but they're wrong.
I love wrap pants.
Yeah, they're wrong. Purists, especially the SCA people, don't like wrap pants because they're not period in any way, and that's fine.
Yeah. LARPs aren't really true to period, guys.
No, and as long as they look good, you're fine. I used to own a pair of breeches. I got them at fair. They were very nice, but they were hard to deal with. And one of the things you got to remember when you're LARPing is that you're in the woods or wherever you're at, and eventually you're going to have to use the lavatory. And if you were wearing 10,000 layers of impossible clothing to get off, you will crap yourself. Or else you will have the immediate. Every event, and I mean this, every event, there's at least one situation where there is a mad dash by all the women in Canar to get to the porta potties, because every one of them is wearing way too much, and they don't want to go out and deal with it one at a time. So women have to go to the bathroom in pairs or groups or herds or troves or whatever.
Pee in
Troves.
the woods like real women.
That's right. Well, there's a lot of talk about not being in the woods because so many people hide in the woods and almost get peed on.
Oh.
I every time I would have to go pee, and it was dark because I don't pee in the woods during the day.
What? Come on.
A little too, especially not as my gypsy character. Fucking bright colors. And what you doing there? Yeah, go away.
I'm wearing hunter orange. It means go away.
Now, I would go find a nice secluded spot and loudly announce, I have to pee. If you come up on me, I will pee on you. And yes, my aim is that good. And I've never once been bothered.
I was out in the woods peeing one time, not too far off a trail, pretty far. I mean, I was probably, I don't know, 15 or 20 feet off the trail, and I was busy doing my thing, and a horn went off, like an actual horn, like a
trumpety horn?
like a
Like
trumpety,
a-
like
okay.
a horn,
not
like
like
made
an
of
air
horn.
horn, like
No,
a-
no,
yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
horn made of
Okay.
horn, like a Nordic horn, and it was it was the signal for the NPC wargs to come running through town and attack everybody just in this big thing.
Oh,
The wargs
that
thing,
horn.
yeah, that horn.
Oh, that horn nightmares.
Yes.
I'm not sleeping tonight.
I
thank
was,
you.
yeah, you're welcome. I was in the woods peeing, and all of a sudden the horn goes off. I'm like, oh crap! And I could hear the wargs running through town and running up the trail. I'm like, they're not going to see me. I'll be fine. And none of them saw me except the last one in the row, which is played by John Moody, who sees everything at night.
Who was like the best freaking warg.
Yes, he comes.
Batman speed.
I heard him coming up behind me, and I immediately spun around, and I didn't have to deal with wargs anymore. So, yeah, there are things that happen in Kanar.
that stay at Kennar?
That
That,
stay,
apparently don't stay at Kennar.
not
Well, they're not going to stay
anymore.
there. I mean, we've talked about it before, but I didn't actually get him. But he realized what I was doing when he saw what I had in my hands. And I was ready to. I told him flat out, if you hit me, I swear to God, I will hit you with this. And he looked. He just threw his hands up and said, "Rawr, rawr, rawr," and ran off. So
For all the talk about mushroom printing in Ordu, they're oddly a little shy about actually getting mushroom printed.
when the sword is in your hand and you're ready to swing that son of a bitch, and I'm gonna call him mushroom print. You know, it's got that on my skill. It's left-handed only. Yeah. I tell you what, that kills the conversation. So moving on up, we go into the belts area. We can actually talk about let's talk about shirts before we get into belts, because belts go over top of shirts. And
Not if you're wearing them right.
well, if you're wearing them right, no one's wearing a shirt anyway. I am rebelling against shirts.
Co-ed naked LARPing.
Co-ed naked LARPing, unless you're a fat dude and keep your shirt on. That's why I keep my shirt on. Anyway, we're talking to shirts. And shirts, again, these are the things, this is something that a lot of women, I think, can get away with easier than men can, because there's a lot of blouse-type shirts that you can get, even at JCPenney's nowadays. Otherwise, go to any Goodwill that has clothes from the 60s and you're fine.
Yeah.
Because there's so much hippie garb
Yeah.
out there that people smoked so much weed they've died now because weed kills. Remember, kids, weed kills. Let that soak in for a second. All right, it's a gateway drug to more weed.
And potato chips.
It's a gateway drug to Ruffles. I'm a hardcore Ruffles abuser. Yeah.
That's how Colorado got it passed. All those Ruffles lobbyists.
Isn't that where Lay's is based out of?
I don't know.
I have no idea. That should be. That's why Michigan's got better made. I will say right now that I can't. I don't do drugs, and I don't encourage anyone to do drugs. Drugs are bad. Okay. Okay. Don't stay off the drugs. Dare not to do drugs. Is that what it was?
Yes.
What was the program? Dare to not do
Yep,
drugs.
Dare.
With the
look
lion.
at that.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a lion.
I don't think Dare's
By the time I got
around
to Dare,
anymore.
there was an anthropomorphic lion.
Yeah, I'm not sure Dare's around anymore. Anyway, I think we're too old.
I don't know.
I think they realized it didn't work.
Yeah. Here's how
Isn't-
learn about drugs, children, so you can learn how to make them in your basement.
Isn't there actually like proof that the war on drugs created more drug abuse?
Oh, I don't know. I think Reagan created more drug abuse, but.
Well, you know.
Anyways,
We get to the shirts and the hippie revolution and why there's more and more. You can find a lot of that stuff in thrift stores, especially now. The early baby boomers are starting to pass away, so you're getting a lot of their garb that they kept around from their glory days of Woodstock and whatnot. And they're getting older now, so either they don't fit this clothes anymore, or they've passed away, and their families have donated the stuff to Goodwill. So repurpose dead people's stuff. It's good. It's the way to go.
Yeah, I got my garb. My bottom half was from Goodwill, and it was just a pair of like Docker straight blue pants.
Yeah.
And I got it when we had the costume shop.
Oh, yeah,
I got
Fantasy
my
Attic.
top. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gone now, unfortunately.
That makes me
Yeah,
sad.
that makes me sad.
Yeah. Support your local businesses. If you can buy them from them, do it. Although they cost a lot of money. A good place to get a lot of stuff is Ren Fair too. If you have a Ren Fair near you, there's a lot of them throughout the country. Figure them out. They're a little pricey, If you find
Probably
this-
depends on the Ren Fair though too.
yeah, if you get the smaller Ren fairs, they're not too bad. The Michigan Renaissance Festival is extremely expensive, but they're also not really a fair worth attending anymore. I
Right.
don't think.
See, unless I'm buying like Pendragon,
Say that into the microphone.
I said, except for the mermaids, which are amazing.
The mermaids are fantastic. quick shout out to the mermaids.
unless I'm buying some specialty gear like Pendragon, I won't bother with stuff at Ren Fair.
Yeah, when you're first starting out though, a lot of that, if you don't know anybody who can make the garb,
It's so expensive though.
it is.
I
It's
bought
a lot more now
I
than
made
it
a
used to
mistake
be.
of buying a bodice at
Oh, yeah.
Enchanted Fancy
Yeah.
Pants Bodice Land, whatever the hell that place is.
Fancy
And
pants
it
spots.
fell apart. I was livid.
Totally be
Well,
the
that's
name of
the-
the store.
That's one of the things you got to look at when you're buying your clothing for LARPs is that you're doing something that's high activity. Even if you're going to play a character who is expected to sit around a lot, it's a high activity thing. It's a lot of wear and tear in your clothes. You wouldn't think it is, even if you're only playing 2 days a month. But you will wear through your clothes a lot faster than
yeah.
you think, and you want to make sure you buy the right stuff. Make sure your stitching is quality. Make sure that the material is good. Don't spend $60 on a muslin shirt. Just don't
God,
do it.
No.
And that's what they run at Ren fairs. So if you see some that are like, Princess Bride shirt, don't buy those.
Yeah.
You want to buy the rugged ones that look like they could hold water, like the cloth shirt could hold water, because some of them actually can. And then I think that
You
if
should
you're
also
gonna
drink lots of water. As a complete aside, I don't know if we're going to do this later, but hydrate people.
stay hydrated in LARPing because it is a physical activity.
And eat.
It's like the one
Yeah,
physical
that's
activity
high
that
right,
geeks
we're
do.
Yeah.
I don't.
You always are coming home and like, yeah, I never ate this weekend.
Yeah, well, I'm a fat kid. I don't need to
Why
eat.
not?
I'm trying to get my sugar to
Good
spike.
Lord, eat something.
I don't think about it. I don't have time to think about it. I'm always
how
busy.
That's how I got the squirrel totem as Dow. Because I always had
Right.
granola bars and peanuts and just various non-perishables on me at all times.
I'm gonna have the emaciated grasshopper as
Yeah.
my. It's been all summer hopping around and playing in the sun, and I starved to death all winter. I also encourage accessorizing in your costuming. Hats are a big deal. Don't wear my hat. Don't take my hat. I will kill you if you take my hat.
I take your hat all the time.
Yeah, but not really. Not anymore.
Because I haven't played in 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And I haven't played a character that would take your hat
right.
in
because
about
I'd kill,
5 years.
Because I'd kill them.
Yeah, because Dow can get away with it. Tukali, not so much.
Yeah, not at all so much. I'd kill you and your entire family. I'd hunt down your children and your grandchildren and your parents and their family and
Just
your
for
pets.
taking your hat.
Yeah,
He's such a positive
Jonas's
guy.
hat is serious business.
I'm a
Yeah,
dick.
it's true.
It's a thing. There's a couple people who are on the list right now who are going to catch it this year. Don't even know it yet. They took my hat like 4 years ago. I put them on the list. If they come back this year, I'm taking them out. I like people to think about it. Like I like them to get into a false sense of security. Like they're safe because Jonas doesn't remember. It was 4 years ago. No, that memory is better than I let on. All right, what's our next topic?
Are you gonna recite the elephant never forgets?
Boom, boom. I'm always faithful, 100%. An elephant's faithful, 100%. I don't remember how it goes exactly, but it's Horton hears a Who, the record. I have the old LP record. I love that stuff. I have a lot of LP records of stupid stuff. So if anybody wants me to give them to them, too bad. What's our next topic?
Dealing with the LARP community.
Oh, this is a tough one. They're
Oh, LARPers.
caveat. I am the president of a LARP company. And Eric is the secretary of that same company. So we're going to probably limit some of the things we say because of professionalism. However, I will say that there are the LARP community gets very high schooly, and I don't think it's just LARP community because I talked to a lawyer who said his law firm was like that.
It's any group of people. I think high school really is just the bar for life, unfortunately. And it just
Well,
doesn't get any more mature than that.
It's where a lot of people peak. It really is.
Yeah.
It's where a lot of people get to be the most popular and to be the most energetic and the most loved, and they want to recapture that their entire lives.
Yep.
And then
The company I work for right now is freaking high school.
And there's a lot of people like us, a lot of nerd type people who never got to experience that joy of being the cheerleaders, first and whatnot. And so they're trying now to get it now. And
Cheerleaders first. That was good.
yeah, Uncle Sammy.
Oh, not okay.
Come on.
I'm going to. Get some hate mail.
A lot. You might actually get
You're going to
that
the
one.
5th level of hell. just
That's
so you
right.
know.
Where it's theaters and molesters and people who kill Book in movies.
Same people who talk during movies.
Yeah, well, it was people who
Okay.
kill Shepard Book in movies. I hate him.
It's all right. We've got a whole episode for that.
do. I'm
the
thinking-
We have
Iron
like
Nerd of our
4
podcast.
episodes for that this year.
I'm thinking about doing the next Iron Nerd of Horse show as the you can't take the sky from me no matter how hard you try, Joss. And it's not fair. It's actually not Joss that wants to take it away, but still, we got some stuff we can talk about with that. Anyway, I think that a lot of people are now people like us who were not necessarily the peak in high school, trying to capture that magic that we saw other people having, not realizing the crap that goes along with it, especially in the real world when you got to have your big boy pants on, and then you get some really stupid discussions that don't make any sense, and you get a lot of people who are really just hating to hate. Hate is gonna hate.
Social media also makes that even easier.
Yeah, I think the cyber
Thank you,
experience
role
in general.
So not really social media, but just media
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
I don't know though, because the LARP community. I don't think really suffered anything from that. I think the image of the LARP community suffered,
Yeah. The community itself didn't,
but I think the community itself suffers just in general because of the fact that a lot of people are haters, and they will sit on Facebook or on Twitter. Not really Twitter. I don't want to see anyone on Twitter. I don't think any of them are necessarily savvy enough to be on Twitter. I say this because I'm on Twitter and that's savvy.
I'm on Twitter
not
too.
bad.
Yeah, all right, Twitter. High five for
Twitter
the
five.
Twitter five.
but good lord.
I'm going to tweet you.
Somebody
You should
save
tweet at me. Tweet my tweeters. I don't know. I don't know where this is going.
Totally gonna tweet
So
tweeters.
dealing with the LARP community, folks.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who get on social media, or back when there were forums still. I know they're a dying thing now, but they would get on there and they would ignore anyone's point of view except their own, and they would basically flame warring. It's trolling,
Yeah.
and I think that a lot of them carry that resentment into the game and into the community as a whole, and I think it really damages the LARP community, and it's something hard, especially for new players, to get over. Because you get into these communities, like we have a Facebook group, which I'm not going to talk too much. I'm not going to tell anyone where it's at because I don't think it's appropriate. But there are groups out there, LARP groups, that if you just see this group, you're going to assume that everyone that plays these games is out to hurt everybody else, and that no one likes each other, and then why? What's the point? And if the game is really that bad, why does anyone still play it?
Right.
And this is true not just of Kanar. It is true of other LARPs as well, although it's, I think, far more prevalent for Kanar because I think we have way fewer restrictions on that kind of stuff because of the First Amendment shouters, even though it's crap. But
And the things with the thing with those forums like that and the Facebook groups like that is even when you are consistently playing and you're seeing the reality in that downtime, because you're so pumped up and you're so in love with this game, you want to do anything that relates to it. So you hit the forums and you hit the boards, and we called it the Board of Hate for a reason, not just because it was full of hate, but it bred hate.
yes, it did.
It would make you angry at the game.
It would make you angry, and when you break it down, you're never really angry at the game itself, because whenever you're out the field, almost every time you're out the field, you're
Yeah.
having fun, and most of the stuff doesn't permeate the game most of the time, but you start to really hate the people that you're playing with, and you start resenting the fact that they don't care about you, and it's obvious they don't care about you, and that the community isn't really a club, it isn't a social atmosphere, and it's just a bunch of people who are out there to get theirs and get on with their lives. And I think that really is bad for the community as a whole, not just each individual game. I think it really hurts Kanar because that's the one I see it in the most. It's the game I'm a part of and have been a part
Right.
of for a long time. But we also get into before I get into that, there's an article that came up recently, a study done by the University of Michigan that says that actually being on Facebook makes you depressed. Even getting likes and getting the reaffirmations and things like that actually make you depressed. And I don't know why I didn't get to the article entirely, but I mean,
Well, it was. I read a similar article that says that, but what we do is we'll take our own views and we'll see someone else who's like, oh my gosh, I just got married. Oh my gosh, I'm having a baby. A, B, C, and we're like, wow, we kind of are jealous because we see that person and we're like, I want to be them.
right.
You've hit this goal, why can't I?
Yeah, but we're not realizing we don't post our whole lives. Everyone
Right.
has ups, everyone has downs, and we don't see their downs. All we see is their ups, but we don't realize that.
Yeah.
You know, and
Or we see their downs and we harass them for being Facebook drama people. And
Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting. I'll see if I can find that study again, the one from U of M, and post that, because it was what I got through was a good read. I didn't have time to finish it, so I was going to finish it up when we're done podcasting tonight. But I think that I personally think that social media and media in general, be it forums or Twitter or Facebook or anything, is designed to basically to make you feel secure in your anger. And I don't think it's right for anybody to do it, and I don't think it's fair for the community. And one of the things that I'm trying to do, and I think that everyone should try to do, is be more reasonable in your posts and try to see past the text. There's no emotion in text.
Yeah.
You can get context emotion, but there isn't any emotion in the text. So try to wash away any context emotion you may be getting from the reading, and try not to go into it thinking that you're angry. I got an email from Dave yesterday or 2 days ago that I took as being very offensive. Like it seemed as though in his email he was very mad about something we were talking about. And I was trying very hard to not snap back at him. I did a little bit, but we're friends, so it's not that big a deal. You were going to say something?
I was just going to say, we were talking about it. Always, or never say something online that you wouldn't say in real life.
Yes.
Because that's where you get into cyberbullying. Really, it's sort of a slippery slope.
Yeah. And cyberbullying is an issue you really do have to worry about in the LARP community. Really,
Yeah.
any community, but LARP
Yeah.
community in specific. We've actually been talking about that a lot in the current group, some cyberbullying type stuff, and just bullying in general with photography and things like
I
that.
talked about that a lot today at work, oddly enough, in a completely unrelated field, about how the internet age has taught us that we can say what we want as long as we're safe behind a computer screen or behind a phone.
Right.
I can send an angry text to somebody, but I can't find the balls to pick up the phone and call them and say,
Right.
"Hey,
Yeah.
you pissed
Exactly.
me off."
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing that I noticed when I first started noticing it when we started hearing a lot more about road rage,
Yeah.
and I think it's the safety of seclusion in a public area. We feel as though we are safe in our own world, despite the fact that we're in a social community, and I think that's one of the things that really hurts the LARP community is the selfishness of trying to be an individual in a social group, when the object of having a social group is to be a social group, to be a group together and to benefit the group as a whole. The Masonic Lodge, the Job's Daughters, any of these major groups like this, I had more in mind originally, but I can't think of them right now. But these are groups that are designed to socialize each other, and you get firefighters associations and police officer associations and medical associations, and these groups that really should be out for the betterment of their community as a whole, and not the individual. But we, in this modern age of constant contact, we don't have the seclusion we think we have, and we as people need to understand it. And I think the LARP community as a whole needs to bring themselves in line with the notion that this is for everybody, not just because of or for you. Think about the guy next to you, kind of stuff. And if we could do that, I think we could change the mentality of LARPs and CANAR and other groups like that, and really make them better for everybody. It's been my goal as president. It's my platform.
I fully support that platform.
Yeah, we're gonna fail so bad because there's some people there's people who just hate for the sake of hating, and they hate me because of the people I'm friends with, and they hate Eric because he's sitting on the board and because he's a member of a specific house in game, and they hate Dave because Dave is, whatever, and they just hate. And
Yeah, but those are people that you can't please, so you have to focus on the other people.
the problem is that you, especially in social media, we talk about this a lot. People who are who are unhappy are going to talk more often and louder than people who are happy.
Yeah.
It's easier there's a marketing decision. The marketing that I heard when I first started working in EMS, because the guy that was doing our initial on the job training was a marketing guy, and he was trying to explain to us how to deal with patients. And it's basically that you have to deal with patients like their customers, because they are, and you have to treat them nicely, because one happy person will probably tell one person about their happy experience.
Right.
One unhappy person will probably tell 10 people about their unhappy experience.
Right.
So you're more likely to talk if you're unhappy. And that basically means that those of us who want to help with the game and those of us who want to help the community don't feel the support, and it's a constant barrage of negativity. which really drains the ability for people to help. I mean, there's our GMs burn out in 2 and 3 years because they can't maintain the positive outlook on life that they had when they started the game, and that influence. And that's actually why I like tabletopping more, is because it's 4 people. If there's negativity, it's from 4 people. If there's
Right.
positivity, it's from the 4 people, and it's a lot more direct and immediate feedback. Well, let's moving on because we're running out of time. What else do we got on the list there?
Advancing your character.
Advancing your character. This is something we can talk about very, very briefly. When you're growing your character in a LARP, you want to make sure that you're maintaining a mentality of being a real person, and that you're not looking at your game like when you're looking at power gaming. We talked about it in the previous episode, that you're trying to fill a niche role. In a LARP, there aren't niche roles. There is a member of a community, a member of society. So you want to build your character to be a live person. You want to make them feel like they're living. So,
Go out and play is the best way you can do it. Just
Right.
do it.
right. And you can advance your character without ever spending experience points.
It's true.
Especially in a LARP. I mean, it's easier to do in a LARP because you grow as a person.
Yep.
So,
And allow your character, in that advancing your character, to not just the paper power or the in-game skills that you
Yeah.
learn, but letting your character kind of advance itself. Don't pigeonhole yourself, and if your character starts going in a direction that you didn't expect, run with it.
yeah. I think my character's changed directions a couple times. I started out as wanting to be a paladin type character. The game was secluded and elitist, I would say, and very closed off to new players, so it wasn't something I could do. I joined Tribe. I hung out in Tribe for a couple of years. Did the barbarian thing, the ranger thing. The Tribe disappeared. I joined the Inn. Helped out in the Inn. Became more of a swashbuckler type character. Eventually became an assassin, and now I'm a squire to a knight, which I'm not sure how that's going to work, because I probably shouldn't be a squire. Also, there are too many squires. But there's a lot of changes that can happen in your career of Kanar or any LARP really, and you want to make sure that you don't that you don't suffocate your character by sticking too closely to your original plan. Things are going to change. So, all right, what's the last thing on our list?
Breaking character.
Breaking character.
Don't
All
do
right. Don't do it.
Ah.
Yeah.
All right.
Eric's got
End
this.
of podcast. Have a lovely day.
Dr. Kanar says don't do it. No. Dr. Roblin. Dr. DB. No, Dean. I don't know.
Dr. DVD.
Dr.
What did you
T.
say?
Dr. DVD. I sell porn. Dr. RPG. Dr. RPG.
RPG.
I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to make some people laugh here. Breaking character, it's going to happen. Try to minimize it. Don't bring a goddamn PSP to the field.
Ah.
God, I'm still mad about that. That was like 3 years ago. I'm still mad about it.
See, Jonas remembers.
Yeah.
I remember everything. There's a difference between being in character, breaking character, and being out of character. And I want to make sure that we specify real quick what the differences are. Being in character is obviously being the character. You are not just pretending to be the character, but you actually feel like the character.
Yeah.
You are immersed. You are making decisions that you don't know how you're making, because they're just decisions that you're not thinking about them. Your character is doing it.
Right.
And that to me is a great place to be. It's hard to get there, but it does happen.
It's a little unnerving the first time it happens, when your character starts making decisions without you.
Yes. And you kind of get concerned about, why the hell did I just make that decision? And
I've been role playing for 14 years now, and I had my first experience with that in our Star Wars game a few weeks ago, and I'm like, wait, what?
yeah,
It always makes me feel just a little schizophrenic.
I've been
Yeah.
doing that a little bit too. Yeah.
it's the sign of a good storyteller. But then there's being in character, which is just role playing. It's pretending to be this other person, not actually being them. Then there's not being in character, which is about to get in there. Oh no, that's the end of that call. Which is then there's being out of character, which is the idea of not role playing. And I'm not talking about off the field, but if you're sitting on the field and you're talking, or whatever your area of play is, and you're talking to somebody, but you're talking about real world things.
Man,
Even
I
if-
saw the coolest movie last night.
Right, even if you're veiling it, like I was on the Book of Faces and I saw this play about this guy. That you're not in character. I don't
Yeah.
care how much you want to think you are. You're not in character.
Yeah.
Talk about things that are going on in the game. Talk about things that are going on in the character's life. You can make stuff up. You can lie your ass off. Who cares? But talk about not the mundane world. Even if you're trying to veil it, that's not being in character. That's being out of character. And then there's breaking character. And when this happens, it's like in the middle of a combat most of the time, where the mechanics become a problem. The mechanics of a situation take you away from being in character, take you out of being whatever, into a position where you are now thinking about the mechanics of and the surroundings. You're not experiencing it. You're thinking about it and you're doing it. And I think that's the difference. The differences for me, and it's hard to maintain. It is. Especially in long events where you've got 3 years where nothing is really happening for the majority of the people who play the game, and there isn't a lot to talk about. It gets difficult. Even a couple of events, especially if you're a new player, you don't have anything to talk about. So one of the things you want to think about when you're joining the LARP, Laura, I look at you specifically, come up with stories.
Yeah.
Tell stories about where you're from, even if you're lying your ass off. One of the fun things about playing Vol is every time I talk to somebody about the same thing, I tell them a different story. Every time. What's your name? I don't know. Different story every time.
I'm really bad at coming up with things off the cuff.
Write some beforehand and wait for the
That's
situation.
what I was talking to Chris about, actually, because my character is supposed to be his cousin. So I want to come up with some embarrassing stories.
The secret to wit, and I learned this from watching Groucho Marx, the secret to wit is to have a lot of pre-made ideas of what to say and just being able to call them back at the right time. It's not coming up with new interesting things to say right now. It's having them in your storage to use later.
Yeah.
You watch 25 years of Groucho Marx, and it's a lot of the same jokes over and over. Sid Caesar, who just recently passed away, his jokes were a lot like that. And Betty White, really any of the major comedians you watch, it's a lot of pre-made material spouted at the right time. So that's one of the things you want to think about. And to me, that's actually how I got wittier. Was I started writing things. Jokes and whatnot to use, and I was just able to pull them off at the right time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how many times you've said I'm going to use that at some point at Kanar.
Right, and that's exactly how it is. I forget most of them.
I'm going to use that
but
at some point.
I'm going to use that, and that's what you do. You don't steal too much from movies and stuff that's obvious. I mean, if it's a cool line that no one's going to notice, go ahead and use it. But
Right.
Come up with a good saying and use it when it comes if it's appropriate. Same with stories. You all look like you want to say something or possibly fall asleep. I don't know which yet.
No, I was just going to say on the movie line thing that to remember, especially if it's a new movie or if it's a cult classic, that the witty line that you think is awesome, that you think, oh, nobody else is going to use this, everybody's going to frickin' use it.
One thing to remember about being a geek is that everyone else around you is also going to be a geek. And so your witty repartee from The Princess Bride, everyone has seen that movie at least 100 times. So, step back and think about, you don't wear a mask because it's comfortable. You think everyone will be doing it someday. Your name is not Inigo Montoya. No one killed your father. They don't have to prepare for anything.
I am not preparing to die.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They don't have to prepare for anything. Although they can go to the Waffle House because Mandy Patinkin was in Dead Like Me.
Yes.
Fantastic. I love it. So, and unless anybody has anything else,
I think that was Waffle Hut.
no, it was Waffle House.
Was it Waffle House?
The Waffle House.
It's Waffle House.
It's a Waffle House, but it was a different kind of waffle. It wasn't like the Ohio.
No, it
Waffle
was not
Houses.
like terrifying Waffle House.
Oh,
It was
I
not
love
okay.
Waffle House. We ate at Waffle House.
We did.
My
when we went to
my
OhioCon.
system does not love Waffle House.
Well, your system doesn't like gluten or food that's good for you or
It's
good
true.
tasting.
My system loves everything that is not gluten. Well, most everything that is not gluten.
Mm-hmm.
And I had Waffle House before I couldn't have gluten, and it still did not love me. It was a bad decision.
Waffle House loves everybody.
I love Waffle House. I'm not
Yes,
gonna
high
lie.
five for Waffle House.
Yeah, that's because you're from Ohio.
Waffle Five?
Ohio doesn't.
Waffle 5. It's the Waffle 5. Doctors of Waffle 5. I don't know where this is going. This is what happens when we are running. We're not just running over. I have
No, we're not.
I have about 4 minutes to kill.
However, we are recording at 11:52 p.m.
That's
Yeah.
true. It is 11:52 p.m. But that's what we get when we can't start until after 9:30.
I'm sorry.
I know, real life and all that.
I know, craziness.
stuff coming
Money,
up. And,
bill paying.
I know, bill paying. Dr. Bill Pay.
Yeah.
I
You know
need-
what?
I need to be a
You
doctor.
need to find me, Dr. Bill
I
Pay.
need to be a doctor so I can pay bills.
He
Jeez.
doesn't even have to be hot. He just needs to be Dr. Bill Pay.
I know, I would totally be a doctor's wife at this point. And on that note, I like to leave the show on kind of a, that's our new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, we do all this fun. And this was actually a really good topic. We
It
actually
was
had,
a good
we
topic.
talked and I don't think I have to edit a
Like
lot of this
real,
out.
real conversation.
I know, we
not-
had, like,
not call and answer.
I know. I may have to.
That should be our theme song, really. For
Call-
call and answer.
If you call. Yeah, but then I got to pay bare naked ladies money, and they're Canadians. I don't like paying Canadians money.
Oh.
They already have free healthcare. They don't need my money.
Maybe they'll give us their free healthcare.
I know. I kind of want to be a Canadian.
Yeah.
That should be a song.
That should be. I want to be a Canadian. God bless America. No terrorists.
I'm confused. It doesn't go together.
Welcome to the podcast.
I love America. I want to be a Canadian.
Now you know how all of our other listeners feel.
This is why the shows get edited so badly. I don't know what's going on. But see, it's fun. This is what's supposed to be going on. We're having fun and we're being witty and we're talking like Martha Stewart. It's a good thing.
No.
It's a good thing. Don't you love prison rape?
Are you gonna bake me a cake and
I'm
build me a
I'm gonna
pine
put
cone
some
wreath?
doilies on my RPG.
Yay!
It's a good thing. If you get doilies, all you have to remember is that if you put a sprig of sage on the side, it'll make your book smell fresh
Don't
and clean
sprig my
every day.
sage.
Yes, definitely.
It's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Oh my
Dr.
God.
RPG! Dr. RPG! Martha Stewart RPG, bitches! I have no idea. Oh my God. All right.
You might have to edit some of that
we
out.
need to
I'm going to leave all of that in. All of it. Even the part where I'm talking about leaving it in. All right. Well, on that
That's
note,
what
that I may have to edit out. On that note, we're going to go ahead and end our show. We want to thank Eric for joining us today and actually being, conservational.
Conversational?
Being able
Having
to
a conservation.
using your words good.
Being a good conservation. No, I'm not.
You see where I was struggling? Using our words good now. Oh wait, I don't know if I should do that or not.
Don't do
No.
that. No. That's bad. Jeff.
Conversationalist.
Being a conversationalist.
Conversating.
It's a good thing. As well as actually putting up with us and hosting us at your loud apartment. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and say goodnight. Be sure that you check out
GFX.
GFX. I actually have a closing. Hang on a second. Let me try this again. All right.
Jeff has forgotten how to podcast.
I know. Podcast fail. It was a good show, so it's bad now. You can find us online at ironerdivore.com. You can also contact the show at podcasts@ironerdivore.com or thequest@ironerdivore.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at ironerdivore. Don't forget to check out Geek Fan Expo on Facebook and Twitter at Geek Fan Expo. GFX will be at the Doubletree Hotel in Dearborn, Michigan on September 5th, 6th, and 7th, 2014. And tickets are on sale now at geekfanexpo.com. We are also going to. I think we talked about in the IR Nerdivore show some of our guests for the convention. We've got Matthew Allen Thayer, author of The Big Red Buckle, a pretty interesting series. I think he's got another book coming out very soon. I think we've also got Ryan Green, who is a professional cosplayer known for playing the Hulk. He is a paramedic out of Chicago, and he is a cosplayer. So anyone can be a cosplayer. Pretty fantastic. Even the rest of us who are not considered to be nerdy people and with nerdy jobs, like psychologists, psychoanalysts, psychopaths.
No, I think that
that
makes
a
up most
profession?
of the nerd community. At least most of the LARP community.
Right. Anyway, and that brings us back around to the stuff before the show. We look forward to your emails and feedback. So send us your thoughts about what you want us to talk about things that we did talk about, and you want to get your opinions in on. And either we'll either read your letters on the show, or we'll talk about them, or we'll contact you and get you on the show, possibly. You can also call and leave a note, a voice note, that we can play on the air at 734-931-0885. That will not be that number will not be answered probably, although it might be. Just forget about that whole number. It's not a thing. Call it, leave a message, and we can play your message on the air. Other than that, we're hoping to have the IR Nerdivore podcast recorded and out roughly the same time as this one. We're hopefully going to record this weekend. which won't matter to you because you'll hear it at the same time as this show. The whole continuity of time thing. Anyway,
Wibbly wobbly.
wibbly wobbly timey thingy. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a Doctor Who fan.
Shut up.
I don't know how I'm a nerd because I don't like.
Ouch.
I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I'm not a Doctor Who fan. I'm not a Joss Whedon fan. I don't know. I'm a nerd about hate. I like hate.
I'm reevaluating our friendship.
That's fair. That's fair. I did like some of the David Tennant stuff. I'll give you
Because
that.
David Tennant is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh no, you didn't see because you're not friends with her. A friend of mine posted a picture of David Tennant in. I
Oh, the kilt?
presume it's a really long
Yeah, the
kilt, and
super
he's holding
long-
it open. He's
Yeah. I saw that.
I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning to see that.
I wake up at
Oh,
5
yeah.
o'clock in the morning every morning to see that in the mirror.
Yeah. Those funhouse mirrors.
Yeah, funhouse mirrors. All right, on that note, we're going to go ahead and call the show for real this time. So long and thanks for all the fish.
Baby, please don't go. Baby, please don't go. Baby, please don't go back to New Orleans. You know it hurts me so. Baby, I'm way down here. You know I'm way down here. Baby, I'm way down here in old Roland Falls.